complain.
Good.
Okay, all right. So
Where's
you
your cat?
Right next to me, actually. I have one on each side today. Let's see
nice.
if they behave.
Okay, so you guys are recording.
All right, good. So I will call the meeting to order at 7:06. And the first order of business, I think, is to wonder whether you guys would like me to lead this discussion, or would one of you like to act as chair?
Yeah, you're the best. All yours.
You're fantastic. I don't know how any of us could possibly hold a candle.
All right.
You
Say
need to work
thank
on
you,
your
Matt.
delegation skills now.
Just say thank you.
Thank you both. That's wonderful. These proposals, responses to our request for proposals, to help us respond, to help us rewrite our plan of conservation and development. David, Mark, and I, Mark had an idea before the meeting started that I will put forth now, that we had all somewhat thought that we'd have a chance to review these proposals, that we would review these proposals before we spoke. So I would suggest at Mark's urging that we open the proposals, acknowledge receipt of them, and then and have whatever short discussions we want to have tonight, and then meet again sometime in the short term to discuss the proposals in depth after we've had a chance to review them.
Would it be worth having, I mean, I think I see a couple representatives, would it be worth having the RFP writers just give a 2 or 3 minute intro to each one after we look at it? Not sure what the general approach would be, but I'd be happy to hear from them, even if we don't read through the proposal in detail during the meeting.
I don't know who the other two attendees are. I don't know who Kevin Grindle or John Steinmetz are. Are they from the proposers? Donna, do you know?
Yes.
There's
Mr.
Kevin.
Grindle is from Anchor.
There's John.
Yeah, Donna and Matt, both myself and John Steinmetz are both Anchor / Barton and LaJudas. So we're both representing the same company this evening.
Okay. All right, great. Well, I think that's a fine idea. And your proposal is labeled number 3. We're going to open them in the order that we received them. So why don't you let us open up the 3, and we'll look at them, and then you can give us, as David suggests, a short synopsis of what your proposal contains. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
And for what it's worth, I know you're not asking for our 2 cents on this matter, but I think your process makes a lot of sense to look through them and then reconvene next month.
Okay.
My hunches are all a little beefy. I don't know how many pages ours is, but you don't want to sit through it and watch each other read pages.
Yeah, you never really get the full the full force of what you guys have written if you try to do it quickly.
It would be fascinating for us to watch you read it, but I would recommend taking your time.
And honestly, you know, in my work, I submit proposals, you know, it's 10 or 12 times a year, and it's my hope that everybody reads them. So I get the sense that not everybody reads them all. So I'll do you guys the courtesy of paying attention to what you wrote.
Much appreciated, because you're absolutely right. Not everybody reads them.
Have you
Okay,
done
good. So,
have you done RFPs recently via Zoom? And if you have, how have they been doing it? Like this or differently? Because this is all new to me.
I'll speak for myself, John. If I'm sure you've been on others as well. The ones I've seen, Donna, have been just like this, where it's you know, the digital opening and then adjournment, and then the discussion is done, you know, on the side or behind closed doors, if you will.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And typically, and this is not a criticism, but I've done work in other states, and I've never had a bid opening like this before for planning services. So I was kind of curious to see how it was going to unfold.
Me too.
Me too.
I'm like, are they going to go with low bid and that's it? I'm like, why did we write all that cool stuff?
Yeah, I mean, trying to set it up according to the way that the town has done previous RFPs, which is, they get them in on a certain date and then they all meet and they all open them up and everybody's in the same office and and they read them as they're opening them. And I thought, well, we can do that via Zoom. But I think what you've said has made perfect sense. I mean, there's 3 of them. They are quite thick. So at least just acknowledging their submittal, opening them up, and then we can adjourn, and then I can set up a meeting for our one night next week if you want. I can't do it for tomorrow because I would need 24 hours notice and I won't be able to do that. So one day next week, and then you guys, we can do another Zoom meeting and you guys can just discuss it and then make your recommendation at the next planning and zoning meeting. And then we would I would imagine, contact the winner at that point in time.
And the
Or
one to follow up on your question, sorry, my
That's okay.
apologies. No, just to finish the second part, I thought is what is very common, especially this time during COVID, is to have project interviews, to have a conversation, and those are pretty much exclusively being done via Zoom these days.
Okay.
After you look at the proposal.
Well, I've been dying to click on number 1 all day, so.
All right, so
Can I finally click?
let's do it then. So let's we'll open up the proposal number 1, and this is from Planometrics.
Yeah, it's 24 pages.
And there's a nice cover letter from Glenn, and I will acknowledge receipt of the proposal from Planometrics.
Okay.
David or Mark, you have anything to add to that before we move on?
Nope. I see they've assigned some staff and tell us about them, and I'll read through it and we'll take it from there.
Okay, great. And then we'll open up the second proposal that we received from, it looks like FHI Studio. They've written us a nice letter. Nice quote from
Where are they? I'm just looking quickly. Where are they from?
I think from Fairfield, is that right?
Yeah, from the first couple of pages.
They're from Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
Okay, so I will acknowledge receipt of the proposal from FHI Studio. Any other discussion before we move on? Okay. Then we'll open up the third proposal that we received from Anchor Engineering. And because we have representatives from Anchor, I would ask for some, whatever, why don't you guys tell us what you want to say about the proposal?
Fantastic. Thanks, you guys. John, I'll give you a 30-second elevator pitch about Anchor and then turn it to you for the project approach in regards to the plan of conservation and development. For ourselves, for Anchor, we've been working with the town of Kent for a number of years. Both Denise Lord and myself have been working with Donna on land use reviews for years, and we've been working with Public Works doing bridges and infrastructure work. So what we're really hoping to do here is broaden our exposure in Kent and start serving the Land Use Commission in regards to the plan of conservation and development. Both John and I bring a wealth of planning experience. Myself, throughout the state of Connecticut, I'm a local chairman of my own planning board in the Northeast corner out in Hampton, and have worked for a number of years out in Salisbury and Sharon on projects. So really from one corner to the other of the state, have a pretty large breadth of knowledge as far as what's going on in the state. And we also partnered on this with Mr. John Guskowski, who had been formerly with CME and CHA to bring additional horsepower in regards to the planning component in the state. So we're really hopeful that teaming with John Guskowski and ourselves would bring, a great wealth of information to the plan of conservation development to the town of Kent. So I'll turn that over to John. John is by far the expert in the field of planning in regards to our services. And as indicated, he had put quite a bit of time into the project scope, project approach on this one. So John?
Thanks, Kevin. I never like being called a planning expert. I prefer planning geek. It more accurately describes my approach to my career and my practice. So no, thank you, Kevin. I've been doing, really in a nutshell, I've been doing planning consulting for about 20 of my 25 years, and the other 5 or 6 years was for an upstate New York municipality. So I've had that experience of being city staff. I've had the experience of being a consultant, and like Kevin, I've had that experience serving on my own local planning board as a member and a chairperson for quite some time. So I've kind of sat in most of the chairs that people can sit in, and kind of made some of the same decisions you have over time in terms of how does this proposal fit into our long range plan? How does it fit with our zoning code, et cetera? And, one of the things that Molly and I really spend most of our professional life on, we do probably a third of our life is planning and a third of it's zoning, and the other third is kind of miscellaneous, testimony and helping planning boards and zoning boards doing their reviews and things like that. But I think one of the things that we really are passionate about is, one, making sure that regardless of what the long range planning effort is that it's enjoyable and interesting. I think it's going to be more rewarding for the process and the stakeholders and the leaders that are going to benefit from the process and the document. Ultimately, you are going to get a document at the end of the day. That is one of the products. So that document should be interesting and visually friendly and something you want to read, and not something that puts you to sleep at night. So we pride ourselves on succinct, visually interesting documents. We don't get paid by the word, so we're never going to give a 120-page plan, single space, no photos, no graphics. It's all going to look seamless and interesting at the end of the day, which we're pretty happy with. And our code work, we do so much code work, and we think that helps make our plans better. And then through our engineering colleagues and landscape architecture colleagues and all the design work and infrastructure work that our company does, I think it really is the perfect storm to make the best long-range plans for communities. We're passionate about it. We're good at it. And I think the people that we work with find not just the product enjoyable to look through and implement, but the process as well. We really pride ourselves on really strong public engagement, whether it's COVID, in person, whatever the case may be. We've got a lot of bells and whistles and tools at our disposal that will make for an interesting process and result in more participation and a better document at the end of the day.
All right.
Are you with Anchor, or are you partnering with Anchor?
We, John and I are, my background, I've spent the past 20 years of my career with Anchor. And in this past October of 2020, Anchor was acquired by Barton and LaJudas. So John comes at this from Barton and LaJudas. I come at it from Anchor, but we are now on the same team. And the Anchor office in Glastonbury, Connecticut is now the Hartford office of Barton and LaJudas. So we are one and the same. And over the next 12 to 18 months, the Anchor Engineering name will transition into purely Barton and LaJudas. But for this proposal, we're on the same team, same company.
Okay. So I think I've seen many Anchor Engineering letters at P&Z, but they've all been unreadable to me because they all talk about water flows and drainage and stuff. So I was curious as to how you got into the planning business, but now I get it.
Yes. We've been in the planning business a very long time. It's just, the land use reviews that you have seen have been, as John has said, planning geek. I will call myself a landscape architecture geek, and when we both work with plenty of engineering geeks. So.
Mark, a little more background than you probably need, but I actually had my own planning practice for about 15 years, and I joined BNL probably about 3.5 years ago. So BNL has really saw a need to say, look, we want to shore up not just our TDE review and the letters you've read, but we want to be really gifted and talented at this proactive planning, because it's as much art as science. And there is an effective way to do it. So to their credit, they've made a concerted effort, brought my staff in, working with Kevin now. It's really been a successful run over the last 3 years, because we've just taken our award-winning process and just expanded it by a factor of 3 or 4, just because BNL has such a deep bench of environmental scientists and infrastructure and landscape architects and trail designers, and you name it. Other than, we really don't do a lot of architecture, but other than that, we've got everything a municipal government would need to make good decisions in-house.
And I assume that your proposal, lists your prior experience in matters of this type, in planning POCDs or doing planning for Connecticut municipalities.
It's all
Absolutely.
detailed in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, our proposal is only 38 pages. So whether we won the page count or not, there's plenty of information for you there to leaf through at your leisure.
Shorter
Sometimes
is
when
better.
you- Yeah, sometimes
Right.
when you win the page count, you're not really winning the page count, right?
That's for sure.
Hopefully ours keeps your attention.
You bet.
Yeah, I've just been flipping through it while you guys are talking, and it seems well laid out and easy to follow. So we'll definitely take a look, and if we've got any questions, we will certainly mark I'm sorry, John, as you had said early on, that if we have any questions, we can likely schedule a follow-up question and answer period, or maybe we can ask you questions in written form that you can answer for us.
Absolutely. We've done both. We'd be happy to do either. So thanks a lot, guys.
Okay,
Thanks for the
Yeah.
conversation.
you're welcome.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Yeah, good night.
Can we schedule the follow-up then while we're all here?
I think so, David. I was looking at my calendar, and Thursdays work well for me.
Yeah. Plus, it seems like celebrating planning and conservation on Earth Day, not so bad.
Not so bad.
There you go. Yeah, next Thursday's Earth Day. You're right.
Maybe it'll inspire us.
Next
So-
Thursday night's fine for me.
7
7
o'clock?
o'clock still works. 7 o'clock works.
Sure.
Plug it in. And yeah, I think the agenda for the next meeting is just to talk through the pros and cons and the benefits of each of these proposals, and decide if we want to ask any other
It
questions.
seemed like, from what those guys said in other RFPs that they've participated in, that the deliberations among the committee members, they were not party to.
I also thought we had to ask all questions in writing and give them to everybody. Like, I think the other RFP processes I've been a part of, it was always, all questions and answers were always public and given to everybody at the same time. So that there was no private channeling, I guess. So I guess as long as it happens in a public meeting, it's fine.
Is Donna still on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Donna, does our meeting, if we have the meeting next week, is that a public hearing at which these guys participate if they?
I guess it's really up to how you want to make that decision. If, I mean, the way that I don't know if you can hear me, but the way that he made it sound, it was that he was
I'm going
not
to turn off
privy.
your bandwidth.
Yeah, the bandwidth's crazy up here.
Donna, turn
Okay.
off your videos.
Okay, how's that? Is that better? I mean,
Yes.
can you,
Yes.
you can hear me, but you can't see me, but that's okay. But you're right. I mean, I don't know if, I don't know if they should be in the discussion or not. I agree with Mark. He did say that they're not usually privy to the discussion. So maybe this is going to take another meeting where you guys just meet together, discuss the 3 proposals, put down any questions that you might have, and then set up, say, a 30-minute meeting with each one of the applicants to discuss their answers at another meeting. It's going to drag it out for sure.
All right, I'll jump in. I know that I'm relatively certain that the meetings that we're having now are public, right? So anybody can join. So
Right.
if they join and listen in on what we're talking about, we don't necessarily have to ask them or have to listen to what anybody says.
Right.
Yes. And I don't think we can have private meetings with the RFP writers. Like, they all have to be attending if there's any communication with them, is my understanding.
Well, I'm not sure that that's true. I believe that we are permitted to, so we requested proposals. We're permitted to ask the individuals to answer questions for us, either in writing or in person. And if we're, I think those questions have to be public, but I don't think we have to ask the same questions of each of the people.
Yeah, but I just didn't think we were allowed to have private conversations with the RFP applicants where the other RFP applicants couldn't see. I thought that was the limitation. Like, I thought we could ask anybody anything we want. I just wasn't sure if we were able to have one-to-one conversations that the other RFP applicants can't hear.
We are allowed to do that as long as we notice the meeting that we're having, right? So they, as long as they know we're having the meeting, as long as it's a public meeting, we can ask them to join. The other ones can certainly listen in, but they don't. If they don't,
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I mean. They have to be invited whether or not they attend.
Nice. Okay, that's fine.
I mean, I flipped through them. They all seem to be in like roughly the same ballpark. 1 second.
In terms of dollars, you mean, David?
Yeah. They seem to be in the same ballpark, and there certainly was a lot of. I mean, they've obviously written these before, so.
And I would say that if there's a clear front runner, and we only want to ask questions of one person, of one applicant, I think we're allowed to do that too. Just because we ask a question of one, we don't have to ask questions of all 3. We can
Right.
narrow the field, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yes. All right. I guess we'll all read through them, and we can have an executive session among ourselves, right? If we all just want to talk about the proposals, or does any meeting we have a public meeting, like in the
Well,
3 of us chat?
You can have an
us.
executive session, but there's only 5 reasons for an executive session. One of them is legal, one of them is personnel issues, another one is security, another one is the purchasing of property by the town, and then there's a 5th one that I'm not quite sure what that is, and I would have to look that up to see if it could be an executive session or not.
Okay.
So, I could look at that.
All right. This is my first time doing this on a municipal governmental basis versus commercial basis. So I just wanted to understand what the rules were.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that as long as the process is transparent and you feel that it's necessary to ask applicant 1 a question and not ask applicant 3 the same question, I think you're able to do that. And as long as the meeting is open and they can all 3 have access to the meeting and see what's being discussed. I mean, I'm trying to take what happens when you open up a bid in a public meeting in person and trying to convert that to Zoom. And I know that typically what happens is when the town gets an RFP, everybody goes into the meeting room and they open them all up and they read them and they discuss them, and then the
Right.
people are all there and they can ask questions. So I think that's fine.
All right. Well, maybe on the next Thursday we can have everyone there and answer questions, and then if we feel like we can make a decision, maybe we can just make the decision. We don't need to stretch it out past that, do we? If we
Well,
feel
you've
like
got to
we-
make a recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then it would be the Planning and Zoning Commission that would actually make the offer, because you've been charged to do the research and come back with your recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then they would take a vote on that, and then your charge as a subcommittee would be dismissed. And that would all be
I guess
done
we
at
have
the
almost a
May
month.
meeting.
Okay.
So we have plenty of time. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So if you
And then
want
one-
to, I'm sorry, Matt.
No, Donna, you go ahead.
If you want to put together your questions and email them to me, I would be more than happy to send them out to each person, so that at least it would save some time and they would have answers from when they come to the meeting, the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And I was gonna wonder for David and Mark, if the other two, respondents to our request are there next Thursday, can we give them the same opportunity that Anchor had tonight to sort of give us
Absolutely.
their elevator pitch?
Yeah,
I would think yes.
I'd be disappointed if they didn't get that chance. So,
Okay.
are you guys up? Or would you be okay if I threw a little Google Doc together that we could just collaborate on our questions on, and just so we can all see them at the same time, whether or not we're actually working at the same time? Is that within your
Sure.
bailiwick?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, I'll start one, and just as I read through, I'll just throw notes in it, and you guys can add or comment as you see fit.
Good. Okay.
Great.
Great. Then, Donna, thank you for your time on your the evening of your first day on vacation.
Patient.
No problem.
You got to tell Ty to get some Zoom practice in.
Well, I haven't really made this public yet, but Ty is leaving the employ of the Planning and Zoning Commission
No.
and the town
Oh,
cat.
really?
Yes, I am not a happy
Oh.
camper. I actually had many drinks today because of that, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Her last day is the 30th. She is going to be the zoning enforcement officer for the town of Southbury. So, which is,
They stole her away from you, huh?
they did. And you know what? I can't tell you how happy I am for her. You know, I mean, she
I know.
is so exceptionally bright and so exceptionally bored that it was coming. You know, I mean, you can only do so many building permits before you want to put a gun to your head. So,
I
you know,
understand.
it's a very, very good thing for her. And you know what? I've done this before so many times, and I can do it again. And then hopefully we'll be able to find someone as good as Ty, although I don't think that's going to be possible, but we'll work through it and figure it all out. So next Thursday's meeting, 7 o'clock, same time, different place, but
Yep.
we'll-
Same virtual place. I'll be in my.
same virtual place,
same
absolutely. I will set that up, file that agenda, and then, you know, we'll go from there.
All right. Can I move we adjourn?
Okay, great. Well,
Sounds good.
thanks, David. Nice
See
to
you all
see you,
next
Mark.
week.
Great sharing, Matt. Fantastic.
Good job.
You are the best.
That's enough.
Don't say it too much. His head's gonna get too big.
Yeah, I'll just recognize that you're blowing smoke.
There you go.
I'm always straightforward. No smoke boy. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
So long.
See you next
Thanks
week.
all.
Have a good weekend.
Bye bye.
Bye.